Thank you, Brian. One quick follow-up to Brian, if I could. There's been a lot of talk about, is the deal a lot dead here? Or are we trying to, is the administration trying to kill the deal? The deal really is gone. It's been overtaken by events. I mean, the deal that was struck in 2015, whether you agree with it or not, was done in a snapshot in time. And there's all this talk about going back into the deal or not back into the deal. But the deal today does no longer exist because it would embolden Iran. You'd have to go back in with small arms transfers and the like. What do you say to those that say that it's possible to go back into a JCPOA right now?
Well, the Iran nuclear deal starts expiring in about 60 days, and it's going to continue to expire. People forget this. This is a temporary and modest non-proliferation agreement that gave Iran a pathway to a nuclear weapon. And so in that way, it very much resembles the 1994 agreed framework with North Korea. It's sort of the same diplomacy, and you had some of the same diplomats work on both. And so if anybody wants to know how the movie ends with the Iran nuclear deal, if we didn't get out, you only have to look at North Korea. So by getting out of the deal and pulling forward the expiration date, that's really how Secretary Pompeo describes it. This deal was going to expire. We pulled forward the expiration date because if we had waited, Iran would be richer, its proxies would be richer, they would have retained their nuclear infrastructure, they would have retained enrichment. And so one of the things that I think people forget, I get this question, oh, it seems like since you've left the deal, Iran is closer to a nuclear breakout. The question illustrates the problem. When I was in the UN Security Council, when Mark was there, we negotiated a prohibition on enrichment. That's the right standard. We have to restore the UN Security Council standard of no enrichment. And if you look at the Secretary's list of 12 demands, no enrichment is at the top of the list. And if we can get that done, and we have put in place the leverage necessary to do it, it moots the question of how close Iran is or isn't to nuclear breakout. And if you concede the fundamental point on enrichment, that sets off a nuclear race in the region because everybody else wants enrichment. Now, I will applaud the UAE. They're now in their 10th year of having a civilian nuclear program with no enrichment. But once we did the Iran nuclear deal and we go around the region and say to some countries, we'd like to have you follow, the UAE model, the answer is no, I think we'll take the deal that you gave Iran. And we don't have a good answer to that. The answer needs to be, nope, we got rid of enrichment. You want civilian nuclear power, that's not a problem, but there's no enrichment.